It's a terrible deal for federal employees. We're saying don't accept it.
Replace, quote, the human workforce with machines, gut the civilian workforce to levels unseen in the last 20 years. Welcome back to Union Base. So I know it's really difficult for some of you guys to keep up with all the stuff that's happening in the Trump administration, particularly in regards to Doge, because it's like every day they do something. And a lot of times it happens in off hours on the weekend. So we're making a serious effort to track that stuff and keep a timeline of events. You can go back through our videos and sort of see what's been happening week to week. But for your benefit, we created a timeline of the last 3 weeks. So check it out. January 28th, the Office of Personnel Management, or OPM, initiated widespread layoffs by launching a controversial deferred resignation program that offered questionable payoff packages to millions of federal government workers. In response, unions such as the American Federation of Government Employees, or AFG, and the National Treasury Employees Union, NTEU, filed lawsuits against the program, resulting in a federal judge temporarily halting its implementation. The mid-air collision between the American Eagle jet and the Army Black Hawk helicopter occurred January 29th, and President Trump later attributed the tragedy in part to DEI policies. The families did push back on that. February 3rd, the U.S. Agency for International Development, known as USAID, announced shutdown that would have led to planned employee firings. However, swift union actions by the Service Employees International Union, SEIU, and AFGE stopped the layoffs. That's the American Federation of Government Employees, if you don't know what AFG is. And that protected the jobs of the affected workers for now. They're even actually taking off the letters from the USAID building, if you didn't know that. February 3rd, or Doge, secured access to sensitive Treasury Department data. A lawsuit was promptly filed by a coalition of unions, including the Alliance for Retired Americans, AFG, SEIU, and the AFL-CIO. They were arguing this move threatened national security and violated worker privacy. February 5th, despite strong union objections, a federal judge permitted Doge to access the Department of Labor's systems, a decision that raised concerns about the potential exposure of sensitive labor investigations. February 7th, critical data sets, including key labor information, mysteriously disappeared from several government websites. This incident led unions like AFG and the NTEU to demand immediate investigations into the data loss and its broader implications for government transparency. Friday, February 7th, during a hearing in the DC District Court, unions said they would broaden the scope of a lawsuit which initially sought to block the Musk-led Department of Government Efficiency from accessing Labor Department systems to cover additional agencies, including the Department of Health, Human Services, Education Department, and the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the CFPB. February 8th, the head of the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, EEOC, and the National Labor Relations Board were fired, with the NLRB head being dismissed for the first time in 90 years. That's never happened. This unprecedented action is significant because it undermines longstanding workers' rights protections and signals a potential erosion of federal regulatory oversight. And we'll have a little bit from that NLRB head at the end of this video, so stay tuned for that. A pivotal judicial ruling is expected Monday, that's today, that will address the legality of the deferred resignation program, the propriety of Doge's access to data, and the mysterious disappearance of critical data sets. The outcome is crucial. If the ruling is unfavorable, it could be appealed or escalated to a higher court, potentially reshaping federal employee protections and government data management policies. So that's a timeline up until now. Of course, we couldn't get everything because there's so much happening. But there was also a very interesting article in WAPO, Washington Post today, about Elon Musk's true goals. Like, people are asking, what are his intentions with the U.S. government? I mean, besides having these massive government contracts through Starlink, and his other companies, what other interests does he have? According to this article, Elon Musk's goal is to shrink the government, control data, and replace, quote, the human workforce with machines, gut the civilian workforce to levels unseen in the last 20 years. The aim is a diminished government that exerts less oversight over private businesses, delivers fewer services, and comprises a smaller share of the U.S. economy, but is far more responsive to the directives of the president. As it's written, that doesn't really sound too bad, I think, to most people. But the interesting thing is the use of AI to replace a lot of work. As much as half of the government's non-military real estate holdings are set to be liquidated, that's also something in the news right now, that they're going to sell a lot of land owned by the government, aimed at closing offices and increasing commute times amid sharp new limits on remote and telework. To replace existing civil service, Musk allies are looking to technology. Those associates have been feeding vast troves of government records and databases into artificial intelligence tools, looking for unwanted federal programs and trying to determine which human work can be replaced by AI, machine learning tools, or even robots. A lot of you guys ask, why do we focus so much on AI? Well, here it is, right? I mean, we're talking about the future and how these jobs could be replaced, but Elon Musk is looking to do that now. The push has been especially fierce at GSA, where Doge staffers are telling managers they plan to automate a majority of jobs, according to a person familiar with the situation. This is why we're doing trainings on AI. Even if you don't agree with AI or anything like that, you still need to do trainings and understand what it is, understand how it works, know phrases like LLM. What is an LLM? You know, what do we need to do to understand this stuff that's coming right at us? So Trump and Musk are going to cancel federal spending or eliminate entire agencies without the approval of Congress. That's pretty much happening right now with USAID. So there you have it. There's a summary of what's happened over the last 3 weeks. We'll keep you updated as things develop. Thank you for watching Union Base.
It's a terrible deal for federal employees. We're saying don't accept it.
And as Betsy noted, look, the president campaigned on this, on shrinking the federal government, cutting waste, cutting spending. It's something he was very clear with Americans on. They voted for it. What do you say to that?
I say there's a process for that. We live by the Constitution in this country, and he is the president, Article 2 of the Constitution, he's got to faithfully execute the laws of this country, and he is not doing that. It is Congress that controls the purse strings. And, for right now, for federal workers existing under the current authorization by Congress, they're paid for. But with this resignation, they're making offers for a period that hasn't even been funded yet. That is a violation of the Anti-Deficiency Act, and you can't make obligations that Congress hasn't funded, and so they can't possibly make good on some of the promises that they're making to these federal employees, which is why we're telling them that they're going to get stiffed.
While President Trump is making headlines for attempting to fire tens of thousands of federal workers, his handling of 2 independent federal agencies has the potential to affect tens of thousands of private sector employees. At the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, he has fired General Counsel Carla Gilbride, Democratic Commissioners Jocelyn Samuels, Charlotte Burrows, undercutting the Democrats' voting majority. Trump has made a similar move at the National Labor Relations Board. He fired 2 Biden appointees, General Counsel Jennifer Abruzzo and Board Chair Gwen Wilcox. Now, Wilcox is the first Black woman to serve on the board and the first to serve as chair. The agency's website explains that the NLRB protects the rights of private sector employees to join together, with or without a union, to improve their wages and working conditions. Wilcox's firing makes her the first sitting NLRB member to be removed from the board in its 90-year history. And on Wednesday, she filed a federal lawsuit. She said her removal is unlawful. And according to a federal statute, board members can only be fired, quote, upon notice and a hearing for neglect of duty or malfeasance in office, but for no other cause.
It's really important that the agency be able to function well and to enforce the rights of workers and issue decisions. That's what we do, is we issue decisions as a board member. So I was very upset with the fact that I was confirmed by the Senate in 2023 for a 5-year term that ends in 2028, and I would not be able to continue based upon this letter. And besides the fact that it's affecting me personally, it's affecting the agency and as well as workers throughout this country.
I read that you didn't necessarily want to be a test case for the president's powers in this space, but why are you suing then?
Yeah, I mean, I never thought at any point that I would be suing the President of the United States as well as the Republican board member, Marvin Kaplan. But it's really important that for me to pursue this case, because otherwise the president would be able to get away with this unlawful conduct and unprecedented conduct.
How are you advising your union members right now?
We're telling them don't take this deal. It's a bad deal. They're making this administration is trying to make it sound like they're offering a deal that's good. They make it sound like they're going to get time off until September 30th. In fact, these folks are going to have to work until September 30th, so it's no deal at all. They're also making it sound like if they don't accept this deal, then they're going to be riffed. there might be a reduction in force and they'll be laid off. But in reality, they have no protection from a reduction in force if they accept this deal.